Hi, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out on this crazy night. My name is Julie Reyes, the chairperson for Community Board 8. I will start the meeting off with announcing who has been excused with extraordinary circumstances for the evening. Rita Lowe has been excused. Marty Wolkoff, Lee, and Margaret Zeller. Georgia Santiago, and Theodore Morris. Just a reminder for anyone who's asking for extraordinary circumstances, we must be notified before 12 noon. And those of you who are attending Zoom who have not been given the excusals, you will be allowed to participate, you just won't be able to vote. And Chuck Bartlett is exceptional. I mentioned Charles Bartlett. Can anyone on Zoom hear? Margaret, can you hear me? Margaret says yes. Chuck is on. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to start off with the public gallery session. The first speaker, Karen Argenti. Is she on? She's representing, well, let her say who she's representing. Is she there?
Hi, everybody.
And after Karen Argenti, Tara McMasters is next. She can unmute herself as well.
Thank you, Chair Julie. We now experience the new normal of more intense weather and catastrophic flooding, as we can tell today. It's no accident of nature. Increased flooding and stormwater damage are driven by the greater heat load carried by the atmosphere, the work of human hands and industry's global scale. The changing climate is the most serious problem we face, an emergency extending far beyond the capacity of present infrastructure. Ecological development can make a difference through street-side plantings and green walls on every block to better hold water with enhanced soils, sustaining denser, more vibrant vegetation, expanding sustainability from the demonstrably disaster-prone development of the past. Ecosystem services can reverse climate change locally, so the Bronx Council for Environmental Quality urges New York City to make a commitment to climate and sustainability policy that provides for establishing living baselines for existing carbon sequestration. Compare this to the no impact alternative and write carbon capture into a zoning text that makes sense for the risk facing the coming generations. In this way, carbon sequestration levels about 2 grams per square foot per day becomes the no change or no impact alternative using nature as the measure. Any development creates large quantities of CO2 during manufacturing, exacerbating the heat island effect when built, but not incorporating habitat for the living structures that hold water and capture carbon. Meadows, trees, and wetland restorations connect green infrastructure and water together to make the city cool, vibrant, vital. Open space with permeable lands can integrate stormwater infiltration as gray water reuse in every neighborhood. BCQ, a 53-year-old community group, urges Bronx Community Board 8 to reject the City of Yes for economic opportunity, and actually every single one of the City of Yes proposals, as well as any of the other in the series, with no ecological integration of water capture and treatment with the carbon budget and environmental quality enhancement. These developments will do more harm than good. Vote no unless they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Argenti? Okay. Karen, you have a question?
There are several studies that suggest that per capita carbon emission in urban centers is less, sometimes as much as 2/3 of what it is in rural and urban communities. So what accounts for that? Are those studies just false? Does this meet up?
So what is the question? That there is less carbon in urban cities?
Per capita carbon emission in dense urban environments. If you look at the various studies that are out there right now, are sometimes 66% per capita of what they are in rural and urban communities.
So while that may be true, the fact of the matter is that the temperature is rising very fast. And everything that happens in terms of taking care of climate change is dealing with the fact that one day in the summer, we're going to have 3 or 4 days in a row at 105 degrees. And so as the temperature rises, because we're taking down trees and we're not restoring wetlands, and we're also not taking care of, we're building, and all that does is keep adding carbon into the air. We never have the carbon going down. And we need to, what we were explaining is we need to make sure that there's a way to measure what the carbon is today and figure out how to get it less. You might know that in addition to all these other things, every time we get one of these crazy storms, the city of New York has all the area around it. City of New York has the worst part of the storm than any other place. And this City of Yes proposal is going to continue to build on every piece of land that they can find, whether it's economic development or housing or a store or whatever, and instead of looking at what is the best way to do things. I hope I answered your question.
Anyone else? Thank you. The next speaker, Tara McMasters.
Good evening. My name is Tara McMaster. Tonight I'm speaking on behalf of the Broadway Community Alliance, a volunteer civic group formed in 2013 to address quality of life issues on and around the Broadway corridor in North Riverdale. Tonight you will vote on the Department of City Planning's City of Yes for economic development. We urge the board to vote no. The Department of City Planning complains that zoning often presents a barrier to opening, operating, and expanding a business in New York City. There is a good reason for that. In their desire to offer new opportunities for business to grow, city planning has blurred the common sense lines between commercial and residential neighborhoods, all in the name of progress. This is problematic because by their very nature, commercial businesses are accompanied by increased garbage, deliveries, traffic, and signage. City of Yes creates a process for constructing commercial development 2,500 square feet in size on corner properties in every residential neighborhood where current zoning prohibits them. Why city planning wants to extend commercial businesses into residential neighborhoods when there are already vacant stores in commercial areas is puzzling, especially since new commercial businesses will compete with our current shopping districts, including mom and pop shops. Another radical zoning change allows for a process for commercial development up to 15,000 square feet in residential neighborhoods if an owner owns a minimum of 1.5 acres of property. Called the Campus Plan, the Department of City Planning references conversion of the bottom floors of NYCHA buildings as if they are useless appendages. This zoning change will encourage developers to tear down private homes or low-scale buildings in residential neighborhoods for commercial use. How hard is it for a developer to tear down private homes and small buildings to combine lots in order to reach the criteria of owning 1.5 acres? We oppose the zoning changes developed by the Mayor's Office of Nightlife to promote live music, dancing, and entertainment in bars. While this proposal does not apply to residential districts, our concern is music and noise from commercial districts carrying over into adjacent residential areas. We are currently living through cuts to police and other enforcement agencies and fear the unintended consequences of this change will impact those agencies and our quality of life. We also oppose the proposed zoning changes to allow home businesses in residential areas to increase square footage from 25% to 49%, increase employees from 1 to 3, and expand business categories. When complaints from neighbors arise, it will fall on the Department of Buildings and other agencies to coordinate and monitor. That is a big problem. City planning's one-size-fits-all approach will destroy the unique character of our residential communities while ignoring the struggles facing our commercial areas. Whether you own a home, rent an apartment, or own a co-op, these proposed zoning changes will adversely change your neighborhood and negatively impact your quality of life. Please vote no on City of Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. McMaster. Any questions? Okay, next is Miguel Matos. And after Miguel Matos, Migdalia Veloz. You can unmute both of them.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Hello, my name is Miguel. I'm a representative of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a community neighbor and small business owner serving the community. I have a tax firm that files over 300 tax returns annually, reflecting the financial life of many of your neighbors that live here within the community board. Today, I stand before you to discuss the transformative opportunity of our city. The City of Yes initiative, spearheaded by the Mayor's Office, is an initiative that's not just a plan, but it's a vision to bolster small businesses, enhance the affordability of housing, and champion sustainability. But more importantly, it is a commitment to building an inclusive and equitable New York City. I understand deeply your concerns about preserving the unique charm of our neighborhood. I've lived in it for many years and still visit there every day for work. Our lush parks, family-oriented streets, vibrant local shops, they're not just amenities. They are the heart and soul of our community. Rest assured that the City of New York aligns with those shared values and preserving those qualities. At its core, the initiative is about getting our local small businesses, both currently established and emerging, the flexibility to adapt and thrive. Current regulation, while well-intended, is often outdated and restrictive. They hinder the local entrepreneur ability to grow and innovate. Imagine a city where the small business is bogged down by red tape, but instead are empowered and flourish and contribute to our community vibrancies. I acknowledge many of your concerns, although they're just a handful out of the 18 initiatives. Your apprehension is valid. Change is challenging and often uncomfortable. However, I urge you to consider the broader picture. These changes are just not arbitrary adjustments. They are carefully crafted strategies to foster economic opportunity while maintaining a neighborhood's unique characteristics. The city's commitment to growth and prosperity without compromising quality of life. Each proposal has been meticulously evaluated to ensure it's aligned with this promise. The goal isn't just to overhaul our neighborhood, but to enhance it, ensure it's remaining lively, sustainable place for neighbors and entrepreneurs that are proud to call this place home. In closing, I say, and I ask you to say yes to the City of Yes, which is a championship plan to sustainability and inclusivity. By supporting the initiative, we are not just saying yes to policy changes, we are saying yes to closing barriers of entry into a prosperous and entrepreneurial lifestyle. Thank you for your time, your dedication to the community, and for considering this path towards a brighter future for us all.
Ms. Matos, is there any questions? Okay, our last speaker, Migdalia Veloz.
Good evening, Chairperson Reyes and Community Board 8. And I see some of our elected officials. I'm happy to speak today about an incident that happened this morning. I live in North Riverdale. I take the number 9 bus on 254th and Broadway every day to get to the train to get to work. This morning and every morning for the last couple of weeks, there's been a crew of young people that come out of the motel. I believe that they are migrants and they have been very aggressive, combative. I got cursed out this morning, bum rushed on the bus. The bus driver said that they're very rude and they start trouble in the morning. And I just want to alert the community about what's going on. I felt very threatened, and I shouldn't have to feel like that at 7:30 in the morning when I'm trying to get to work. There's a little crew of 3 to 5 kids. They have speakers. They played super loud music every single morning, and people just stay away from them, where people are basically waiting for the bus around the corner from the W because no one wants to really stand near them. While I sympathize with the plight of migrants, I shouldn't feel threatened in my neighborhood when I'm waiting for the bus to get to my job. Anything that the community board can do to help and to alert the precincts, I am also going to write a letter. I would be very grateful for that. And since I have a couple of seconds left, I want to say I filed a complaint with 311 about an abandoned car on 254th and Mashalou. I have the complaint number. The car's been there for a month. The bumper's hanging off. One of the tires is now missing, and no one has done anything about that car. Thank you for your time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Veloz. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. That concludes our gallery session. Move on to item number 3. Is anyone here from the Borough President's Office? Borough President's Office? Oh, on the face. Hi, Alexis Ruiz from the Bronxboro President's Office. You have the floor.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope that you're all doing well. Just want to say Happy New Year. Today marks 2 years since the Twin Parks fire. We'll never forget the 17 lives that were lost that day. This fatal fire is a painful reminder of the importance of fire safety. So the Borough President is working with FDNY and community groups on scheduling fire safety trainings and smoke alarm installations. So if you're interested, please reach out for more information. Community board applications will go live within the next week. This is a notice for everyone who is up for reappointment and for those who are interested in joining the board. The application will be fully electronic and found on our website, and it will be in English and Spanish again. Boards are expected to vote on the City of Yes proposal by this week, so please upload your recommendations to the city planning portal and reach out if you have any questions on that part. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alexis. Any questions? Okay. We'll move on. Oh, before we move on, is there anyone here from the mayor's office? Is it Lena? Okay, Alina Dell, staff from the mayor's office.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year's. I actually thought the 50th precinct was next, so I thought I had a little bit of extra time. So I do apologize. Telling my kids, be quiet. I hope everyone had a happy holiday. I did just want to follow up, and I know that I spoke with Department of Buildings. We're having a conversation regarding you guys did a walkthrough about the different city bikes and some of the areas that they're causing a little bit of issues at. So I'm following up with them. Their deputy commissioner was not well. She had COVID, so she told me that hopefully next week that she'll be able to have her voice to share, what's happening with that. I also followed up with Department of Buildings. I know that building on, I want to say 237, and regarding the water waste that's coming off, they did follow up with that, and they shared with me that, they shared with me that they're issuing a fine, I believe, or they're actually gonna, they sent in because they wanted to find some information out, reason why this is still taking place. So I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. Oh, for everyone that I didn't say hi to, I'm usually there in person, so being online is different for me. I'm Alina Dow. I'm the Bronx Borough Director for the Mayor's Community Affairs. I always provide my information for anyone that has any questions or wants to contact me regarding any of the issues. If you guys are having, I know I heard the young woman during the public session share. I actually, as soon as she was talking about it, I put a note in it. I'm sending something over right now so that they could find out if that area is actually one of the city shelters, or is that a shelter that's not under the city. I'll be able to find that out soon. So if you can please share my contact information with her as well. And I only have a minute, so I just, again, wishing everyone happy New Year, and I look forward to connecting with all you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Well, any questions? No. Okay, we'll move on to the elected officials report, and just a reminder, all reports will be for 3 minutes. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm so sorry. I checked you off because I knew that you had to leave too. I'm so sorry. Captain Florentino from the 50th precinct.
Thank you for coming out, especially today. The number that I will give you is going to be the 28th day. We are on robbery, 21 versus 9. So we definitely working with that, and we have officers out there working day and night. Leo with ground larceny, mostly tires and rims, cars and stuff like that, airbags and catalytic converters. So we have 2 officers that used to do 4 to 12. Now they do a stricter thing that's just for that. So be mindful. If you see something, call 911. Do not engage anyone out there. Another crime that is actually affecting the 5-0 is GLA, Grand Theft Auto. We the last 2 days we have like 3 vehicles stolen where the register holder left the vehicle in the tenant low or with the engine running. That's illegal. That's how basically giving up the vehicle. And 2 of those vehicles, stolen vehicle, we encountered the perpetrator. We arrest both of them, but one of the vehicles is actually damaged. So just be mindful about it. You need to leave your product. Leave your product in. With that being said, if you guys have any questions, please feel free. But just like I said, going back home, please be careful. Thank you.
condolences. My condolences, the best chief in the world, Joe, you know, I know who's helped my dad. It was a good question.
It's great to hear. Thank you, appreciate it.
I'm sorry, I'm just wondering, you heard of speaking earlier, talking about, the hotel, where, it was like, and she said she paid for us, she said that we should get on the bus, so that bus driver, this is not going problem. We were wondering if they can, work. Are you aware of it?
We don't have anything on that specifically, but any information that, something like that, just let us know, obviously, and see. You know. So anybody that has any information regarding what's going on, if they're harassing people, let us know, so that we can check it out. If there's a time frame that's usually occurring, it's any information, I sent out an NCO information as well, so the NCO that belongs to that area, they should know about it. If they don't know already, they know about it. Either way, you can send it to us and we'll give you some feedback.
Can we please hand this microphone to the speakers so we can hear better on Zoom?
Will do. Do you have more to report?
This one, that's mine.
That's it. Okay, just out of curiosity, is there anything?
So yeah, there's no updated hate crimes. All the information that we gave at the last meeting is the same as today. Everything is been calm on that front. There are rallies that we've had to respond to, and you know, it's been relatively good. So, you know, as long as the tensions are up with what's going on overseas, you know, we're gonna be on high alert and just make sure everything's safe. All right, that's pretty much it. Happy New Year, everybody. Yes.
Any other questions? Ed? There's one more question.
While I recognize that you all would like a formal report from a constituent about an harassment event that occurred, is it possible that in the interim, prior to receiving the harassment complaint, that someone from the precinct can actually go to the location and look at it, so that you have a better understanding of what the constituent is asking about? The harassment complaint, the young lady who spoke earlier today, she said that she was harassed this morning, 7:30 in the morning on her way to work. And that it appears to be a recurring event, and that there may be an issue coming from a facility, the W Hotel in that area, and she. The bus stop is in front of the W, right, the bus stop is in front of the W Hotel. Is there a way that you can send a car to observe what is actually going on in that area prior to receiving a formal request from the board office?
Absolutely, yes. We could actually send the second concern basically to the Local 75 directive with the lights for high visibility. So we'll definitely do it.
Thank you.
And just to piggyback on that, that's part of what that person should do as well, and anybody that has any information, if they do have a specific time frame, that would help us a lot to figure out the time that we should be there and have a unit check it out, because obviously we're not gonna sit there all day unless we have time to do that, which usually is not the case. You know, usually we have to go to jobs and respond to 911. She said 7 a.m. 7 a.m. She said
7:30.
during the week, I'm assuming Monday to Friday.
During the week, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll move on to. And thank you, Catherine, and I apologize for skipping over you again. Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to the elected officials report. If anyone is here from Senator Jackson's office, Dario Pinsack.
Good evening, everybody. Dara Quinsek for State Senator Robert Jackson. Today, the governor introduced her plan. Obviously, the state senate is gonna review the plan, discuss it, and probably the next 30 days, 40 days, we will have a response, which might mean introducing bills. Start negotiating the budget, because as you probably know, everything gets decided based on where you put the money. So if the state senate, the state assembly agree on where they want to direct the money, that's where those bills and the executive budget is gonna end up being. Right now, the senator's focusing, he has 3 bills that he was focusing on. One is one fair wage, which is to increase the wage of tipped workers in restaurants. That's something that he's really keen on getting past this session. Also, there's also the bill related to qualified immunity that's regarding all government workers and how they're kind of immune. It was based initially on law enforcement, but it's across the board and wants to remove certain points of immunity. It's not removing all the rights that government employees have in regards to their actions, but it's very specific. It's a very long bill. I'm happy to bring you the summary of it or even the whole bill. And then there's also environmental bills and labor ones that are related to pension. Because if you work in government or have worked in government, the tier you're part of is very important. And as he always says, tier 6 sucks. And he's trying to get people in tier 6 to tier 5 and then to tier 4, and to make sure that the current retirees have the benefits that they were promised when they're joined. Obviously, most people ask him, can you do anything about what New York City is doing for the retirees? That is something that the state legislature cannot touch because it's city matter. But if there's a request from the state to make amendments to state law, he's open to it. Thank you.
The representative from Senator Gustavo Rivera's office, Mr. Schneider.
Good evening, everybody. Hopefully everyone had a happy new year. So yes, as Dario mentioned, the Senate has commenced for its 2024 session. Senator Rivera is looking forward to working with his colleagues to pass critical legislation, such as the New York Health Act, which will establish a single-payer healthcare system in New York State. He's also prioritizing deep affordable housing development, expanding coverage to all New Yorkers, and continuing to fight to end medical debt. On the constituent side, we have a few events coming up, but we have a NIMIC Immigration and Housing Services on the 3rd Friday of every month at our district office at 2432 Grand Concourse. You can make an appointment and schedule it at 718-933-2034. At 718-933-2034. We also have a couple of HRA benefit enrollment days. We have one on Thursday, February 8th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Thursday, February 22nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. as well. And last but not least, we are beginning satellite office hours again in Riverdale. We want to make sure that all of our constituents have an opportunity to be heard. And so I will be at the Riverdale Y on January 17th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I look forward to seeing some of you there. Have a great one.
Thank you. And we also have a representative from Congressman Richie Torres' office, Mr. McManus.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joseph McManus. I'm from the Congressman Torres' office. Number is 718-503-9610. And walk-ins are welcome. Any kind of federal issue you have, such as Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the post office, and there's a bunch of other things that we could help you with. The new office is on Fordham Road, 540 East Fordham Road on the 2nd floor. It's accessible by an elevator, so you can get in there. If you can't make it to the office, you could email me. My email is joseph.mcmanus@mail.house.gov. Send me a detailed email, and I will forward it to your concerns to the appropriate staff member. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McManus. And the representatives from the Bronx DA's office, Jeffrey Bennett.
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my name is Jeffrey Pena. I just started this week, so I'm very excited to be joining these meetings. I believe one of my coworkers is supposed to chime in and a little information about the events that we're having.
Thank you. We have a representative from the Public Advocate's Office, Rosie Mendez.
I'm sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. I see that the assemblyman and the council member is here, so I would defer to them speaking. I'm assuming they have other meetings to go to, and I can speak at the end.
Okay, we'll come back to you at the end of the meeting then. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to, I just want to check to see if let me see, anyone from Assembly Member George Alvarez's office or Assembly Member Manny De Los Santos. Okay, so then we'll go on to Assemblyman Jeffrey Denowitz.
Am I now unmuted?
Yes, and Eric, you'll, Mr. Denowitz, you'll be.
Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure hearing from all the representatives of all the other elected officials. I'm just going to speak on one thing. It's the Henry Hudson Bridge toll. As many of you know, 5 years ago in 2019, I was able to negotiate into the state budget I don't want to say the removal of the toll, but basically what amounts to a free toll for Bronx residents. The way it works is a Bronx resident who has a car registered in the Bronx, who has an Easy Pass that has money in it, would get an instant rebate on the Henry Hudson Bridge toll whenever they cross it. It was supposed to take effect in June of 2020, but the funding for it disappeared when the pandemic came. It was money that was going to come in through what's called the Attleboro Transit Fund. There was money that was a tax basically on Uber rides and Lyfts and all that. But now that the money is coming in, the program is going to start. So here's what's going to happen. February 3rd, it starts. That means whenever you cross the Henry Hudson Bridge, if you're Bronx side and if your car is registered where it's supposed to be, which is in the Bronx, you essentially won't be charged the toll. The MTA sent out notices to a lot of people within this week. Some of the notices, I think the notices had a mistake and what they did had a glitch in it, but they're going to fix it. People who live in 10471 and 10470 in my district were not, I don't know how the computer works, but it was not done properly. But it will be by February 3rd, which is when the program starts. February 3rd is, like 3 or 4 weeks from now. So again, the bottom line is if you take the Henry Hudson Bridge every day, this can amount to saving thousands of dollars a year. And even if you only take it once in a while, it's still a big savings for people. It's one of the things, as I said, that I insisted upon in the budget that year. And my only regret was that it was delayed because of a horrible pandemic. But it will take effect unless there's another pandemic, which we don't expect. So you may be automatically enrolled already. If not, you're going to have to go online and follow instructions. And I'm going to send out emails letting people know what they have to do. But it's relatively easy for most people. And once you successfully register, if you're not already automatically registered, then you will be registered and you no longer have to worry about paying the toll as long as you keep your Easy Pass account replenished. Now, filled with money. I don't know about the rest of you, but my Easy Pass automatically adds money. I don't have to do anything, because if I did have to do something, it would run out of money undoubtedly. And that's probably the smart way to handle your Easy Pass account. So if I do nothing else for the rest of my life, I got the toll removed for all of us in the Bronx. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Dinowitz. Any questions for him? Okay, is there anyone here from Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa's office?
There's a councilman who's actually here.
Actually, yeah, I'm here actually. Julie.
I'm going by the list because even though we have representatives that may have a sliver of the community, they are still our representatives. And I want our community to hear from all our council members if they can. So, Eric, you know, we'll never forget you. We won't.
It feels like you did, so.
No, I didn't. I'm just being inclusive. You're never going to be forgotten. I mean, you are part of our board. How could you be forgotten? But I want to make sure that we're inclusive, especially if the officials reach out to us. You know, because it's something that this board has been lacking, and I think it's nice that our other representatives want to partake. So I'll call on them on every meeting, and if they're here, we'll be glad to hear from them. And if not, you know, they still reach out to us. And Eric, you will never be forgotten, and neither will Mr. Dinowitz, Jeffrey. So I just want to see if anyone's here from Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa's office. Is anyone here from Councilmember Anna Sanchez's office? Okay, so we will end with Mr. Dinowitz. Eric Dinowitz, Councilmember.
Thank you so much. I guess I'll make a formal request to Community Board 8, as I represent the vast majority of it, that if there is a new order coming to the board, that you just let my office know, because as was mentioned by Rosie Mendez, we also have other boards and other communities that we serve besides Board 8, and it's very important to us that we represent everywhere in the community. So please contact my office and let us know if there's been a change to the order and a change to the way things were done since I've been council member and since, as you mentioned, I was on Community Board 8. Well, hello, Happy New Year to everyone. I heard a couple of things about 311. I want to remind everybody that if you have a 311 complaint, please call my office, give us a ticket number, and we'll help you out. And there's someone on the call who may be particularly helpful. I hired a new staff member, Stephanie Rodriguez. So I hope you come by my office or call my office and get a chance to meet her. It's very likely she'll be helping you with some of your constituent issues. We've been very busy last month with Community Board 8 and Assemblyman Dinowitz. We did a walkthrough in the amalgamated section of the district to see if there are different places to put those city bikes. As you know, I'm a fan of City Bike, but I think taking away that precious parking is not necessary. So we did the walkthrough. It's something that DOT should have done before they installed them, but we walked through them to provide alternate locations, talk about the need of the City Bike there and where they are. You know, there was a terrible fire in Kingsbridge, so we've been meeting with the business owners to talk about, you know, what's available to them. And our next meeting with them is on February 5th with Small Business Services. So we are working with those businesses on that. Last Friday, Assemblyman Dinowitz and I held a meeting with the Department of Buildings, along with a few members of Community Board 8, like Bob Fanuzzi and Karen Argenti, regarding the construction of 232nd and Tibbet, that charter school, the big mess of a construction. We are continuing to work to make sure all issues are resolved, but we did ask that work be shut down until problems are resolved. The DOB did not seem to want to do that, but they did indicate that they would be sending more inspectors, but we're going to continue to press them on that. We've gotten calls about shopping carts on 238th from the BJ's shopping center. We called them and we got them to go out and get the shopping carts back. Last few things. One is that we have flood barriers at my office. If you have a garage that has a downward slope or a door, these are inflatable. For your house, these are inflatable flood barriers. Call my office to make sure we have any left and come by and pick them up. And I'm very excited about this next part. We in my office are bringing representatives from different agencies and organizations to come help you with specific needs. So we have the Department of Veteran Services coming on January 17th between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. We have West Bronx Housing coming on the 23rd between 10 and 4 p.m. We have the Department of Finance coming on the 26th between 10 and 2 p.m. And we have a legal aid group coming on the 15th of February between 10 and 3. Please call my office to make appointments with any of these groups, to whether it's taxes, veterans issues, housing, legal issues. Call my office. We are here to help. We are trying to bring as many services to you as possible. I will end by asking you all to sign up for my newsletter, because a lot of the information I shared with you is in my newsletter. It's ericdinowitz.nyc/newsletter, ericdinowitz.nyc/newsletter, to get a lot of the information that I just shared and other information about what's going on and what we're working on.
Any questions? And thank you, Councilmember Dinowitz, and I'm sorry if I was slighted. Oh, Jessica?
I noticed earlier today, I'm pretty hello, Councilman Dinowitz. This is Jessica Sosa. Earlier today, I did notice that there were workers at that charter school location. It seemed like they were just watering some of the barriers, but I believe a Bobcat was delivered. So I just wanted to know, I'm not sure if it's allowed. It's not like actual construction per se, but I did notice a Bobcat being delivered and water being filled for barriers. I'm not sure if that's allowed. Just wanted your take on whether or not that's something that can be followed up on.
The first thing I would remind everyone, as I started my presentation, is call 311. If you're not sure, call them and then send us the number. About that particular thing, I don't know. We do know there are workplace violations. One of the things we showed the DOB, or rather I should say Karen and Bob showed the DOB with a really well done PowerPoint, and the presidents of the surrounding co-ops were there as well. Were workplace violations. In one video, we saw people working with no flaggers, no helmets, and another we saw pictures of a ladder that was very unsafe. And so it's hard for me to say. I don't know what the deliveries are. One of the things we did press them on was the fact that were inspectors going there in a timely fashion to see the violations, and were they proactively going to the site where there are clearly workplace violations, not to mention environmental hazards and damage to property. They were not proactively going to the site. They were only going in response to 311 calls. So after our meeting on Friday, it was my understanding that they would be doing some proactive visits. And when we have updates on that, I will certainly update all of you.
Thank you, Assemblyman Dinowitz, for supporting the toll reduction, and Councilman Dinowitz for reminding us of the devastating fire on 231st. I just wanted to ask, do we have a cause of the fire yet?
I reached out to the mayor's office today, actually, about that, because I get my dry cleaning done with the dry cleaner, who unfortunately, of course, lost his business. His wife does my dry cleaning. It's down the block, so I was just speaking with him today. I reached out to the mayor's office today to get an answer. As far as I know, they do not have a cause of the fire, but I'm still waiting for the most recent update on that. I do want to add, though, that we did have a meeting with the business owners 2.5 weeks ago with Assemblyman Dinowitz and Alina Dow from the mayor's office. So our meeting on the 5th is not the first, February 5th is not the first meeting we're having, but these are continued conversations with partnerships with Assemblyman Dinowitz and Alina Dow from the mayor's office.
Any others? Okay, Councilman member, I just want to say that I will speak with the office and we'll email out all the elected officials to let you know, and it's not a change, it's just being inclusive. So we'll send you out an email just to let you know how we will be calling the elected officials, because we want everyone to speak. And we do appreciate you always coming to our meetings. Okay, the next guest speaker is from the Comptroller's Office, Rhea Mayhew.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, you have 3 minutes.
Alrighty. Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Grim Mayhew. I'm the Bronx Borough Director for the New York City Controller's Office. We have a couple updates for everyone this evening. The first one is that our office released a report entitled Riding Forward, Overhauling City Bikes, Contracts for More Reliable and Equitable Service. So we revealed significant operational shortcomings under Lyft's operation, which has left riders facing more unusable stations, longer periods of station unavailability, and more broken bikes. Low-income neighborhoods and communities of color face these problems more significantly. The review also found that the New York City Department of Transportation failed to hold Lyft, which has operated city bikes since 2018, accountable for its failure to meet contracted performance standards. And also in the report, the controller calls for a comprehensive contract overhaul to ensure more reliable and equitable service with a more strategic mix of enforcement of performance standards, attention to equitable service, and incentives to enable City Bike to thrive as a key element of the city's transportation network, whether under Lyft or a new operator. We also want to announce that we are accepting applications for our summer internship program. So in the interns, it's a great opportunity. We're looking for folks that are enrolled in accredited undergrad or graduate program for the fall of 2024. This application is due February of 23rd, and it's on our website. And I can give the website to the board for you guys to have. And if you have any questions for our office, you can contact me at 929-512-1647. Thanks so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And our last guest speaker is from the Bronx DA's office. Jumana Escalera. Thank you, because I would have messed up that name. Sorry, Jumana.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm sorry. So my coworker that spoke earlier, he is new. So we do have a little bit of things that we do want to share. So first, we have felony trial training, which is pretty much a program where we bring in people from the community and they serve as mock jurors. So that's going to happen on January 29th, 2024, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Breakfast and lunch will be served. If you know anyone that is interested, we are opening up our office so you can participate and pretty much help the ADAs in the office. The second event that we have coming up is the Reentry Employment Resource Fair. So that's going to happen on January 30th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's going to be at the Bronx River Community Center. And pretty much during this event, we're going to be providing job readiness programs. We're going to have suits, lunch, of course. We're also going to be doing resume building during the event. So if you know anyone that has been recently justice impacted, please share this information with them. Lastly, on February 3rd, we have our first Youth Advisory Council meeting. So if anyone is interested, the office is opening up to ages 14 to 20. We're welcoming students from the Bronx to participate in a conversation with the district attorney regarding the community, gang violence, as well as crime in the Bronx. We'll be providing breakfast and lunch to students as well, and Metro cards. If anyone is interested, I'll be sending that information to the district manager. And thank you for letting me speak. Have a great evening, everyone.
Okay, thank you. I thought we had the last speaker, but the very last speaker is from the Public Advocate's Office, a former council person.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I wanted to report that the Public Advocate released the worst landlord watch list in December. And in the last 4 months, he released 2 reports, one on air quality called Orange Sky Red Alerts, pursuant to the issue that we had this summer, and release another report in early December called Out of Service, which is about creating a more equitable transit system in New York City, and highlights a lot of the accessibility issues. We will soon be releasing another report on the arrivals of the migrants in New York City, and summarizing everything that's occurred during the last 2 years. In December, the public advocate passed 2 bills, which has been in the news quite a bit. One is the bill to ban solitary confinement. And the other one is the How Many Stops Act, which is a reporting bill for the NYPD. It will capture different levels of stops and have them fill out the forms, and the lesser the interaction and the level is, so there's no reasonable suspicion or anything like that, then it's a much shorter form that just, they usually have these forms on their phones and they could just click on that. We have on our website, because there's some misinformation that's been put out by the mayor, and on the public advocate's website is a lot of information about how this will not create more work for the police. It will create some work, but not a lot more work as they're reporting. In this past legislative session, which was a 2-year session, the public advocate passed 11 bills ranging from increasing fines for housing violations, eliminating Department of Building filing fees for homeowners of 1 to 3 family homes who will be making upgrades to green their buildings, a homeless bill of rights, a pedestrian safety reporting bill.
Thank you, Ms. Mendez. I'm sorry. Sorry. Sorry, Ms. Mendez. Did you want to finish off the sentence?
Okay, I'll just wind up with the public advocate is on Bronx News 12 every 3rd Tuesday of the month, answering questions at 7 p.m. If you tune into that, you can see him the 3rd Tuesday of every month. And I look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the roll call. Margaret O'Farrell.
Yes.
Before you go on, I just want to say, I see some hands up in Zoom. During the board meeting, we take comments only at the gallery session from the public. Otherwise, we can't call on you. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna move on to roll call.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. Sylvia Alexander.
She's absent. In order to get extraordinary circumstances, you must notify the board office before 12 noon. Usually in committees, they don't let the board members participate, but since this is our board meeting and I'm chairing it, she will be able to participate. Anyone who's absent, a board member, unless I get overridden by Steve Fruit or Marty, I think a board member should be able to participate. They just cannot vote. Okay, go ahead. Jeez.
Great, thanks. Sylvia Alexander.
Absent.
Jillian Baez.
She's
You're gonna have
here.
to speak up if, okay. Abubakar Berry. Bob Bender.
Here.
Carol
Here.
Blake. Kelly Buford.
Present.
Christopher Calhoun.
Here.
Sebastian Chittilapoli. Lee Chong. Ingrid De Leon. Margaret Della, present. Robert Fanuzzi.
Here.
Nicholas Fazio.
He's present.
Nicholas Fazio, he's not
Present.
present. Okay, Stephen Fruit,
Present.
David Gelman,
Absent.
Mary Ellen Gibbs,
Present.
Rosemary Guilty,
Absent.
Julia Gomez. Was that a present?
He's here.
Edward Green. Emily Houseman. Rashida Hilliard. Robert Jaklowski. Was that a present?
Present.
Barbara Kale.
Here.
Rabbi Kaplan.
He's here.
Scott Crompinger. Josh Land.
He's here.
Elaine Lobos.
Here.
Rita Proctor Lowe's, EC Oscar D. Martinez.
Absent.
Okay. Charles Murdler is EC.
Yes, and Constance. Constance is here.
Constance is here. I don't have her on.
She's at the
Oh,
top of the list.
sorry, I skipped her unintentionally. Oscar D. Martinez.
Absent.
Okay. Theodore Morris. Absent. Omar Murray.
Absent.
Okay. Joy Campbell Privateer. Julie Reyes.
Here.
Daniel Rowan.
He's here.
Georgia Santiago.
We're gonna check to see if she called in, if she called early.
Okay.
She's
Okay. Ramdat Singh.
Here.
Jessica Sosa. Laura Spalter.
She's here.
Okay.
Okay,
Deborah
Georgia.
Travis.
She's absent.
Sergio Villaverde.
Absent.
Martin Wolpoff.
He's here. He's safe. Can you
Okay.
see him soon?
One last thing, Joy Campbell Privateer, is she here yet, or she's just gonna be late and she's not here yet?
She's not here yet.
Okay.
And Georgia's on the line. I think she's unmuted.
I'm on the line. I'm here.
Okay, great. Thanks, Georgia.
You're welcome.
Oh wait, Oscar is on Zoom. Oscar, you can participate, but you'll be marked absent, but you can't vote. You have to notify the office at least by 12 noon. And when you're EC, you also have to show your face. But it's not applicable for you today. You could keep your logo on, but you could participate.
It looks like we have 22 present in person for quorum.
That's great, because we have 3 or 4 committees that we must do the resolutions tonight, and we have 1 hour to take care of all of this. So, thank you, Margaret.
Thank you.
I'll do my report briefly. You can take a look at the executive minutes when they'll be available for next month. The Betty Campbell Adams Most Valuable Merchants Awards will be back in order, and Nick will speak on that when he gives his report on economics. And we will be putting together a committee for the Herman Latimer Community Service Award for next month. I said, take a look at the minutes. We have a lot to do this evening. If we do not finish up with the committee reports later. I would ask everybody to take a look at the committee reports, but we really do have to do the resolutions this evening. Any questions? All right, I just have to say this because Eric Dinowitz and Jeffrey Dinowitz, they do a lot for this community, and I feel that they felt slighted tonight. And that's the last thing I want to do, because they really do a lot for this community. But when I joined the board like 25 years ago, I felt that I was on the wrong board because I didn't hear from the council people that represented me or the other representatives, and we have a lot of representatives. So I will be including them in the meetings, but by no means it is slight to the Dinowitzes, because they both have done a lot for this community. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Croppinger, the treasurer of the board. On the screen is the updated report for January. Table 1 reflects personal services, which is an update of our salaries paid to our staff. It also reflects OTPS other than personal services, which is everything else that we control, with a balance remaining of $21,741, which is broken down into some further detail in table 1.1. The main thing that happened is the budget mod that passed last month that moved $4,000 from PS to OTPS was processed. That's why our OTPS balance is a little higher this month than it was last month. Other than that, not much to report. We paid some cleaning bills, and we still have that cushion of $10,000 in Object Code 499. No budget modifications this month. Table 1.3 shows $194 in encumbered funds. And finally, table 1.4 is rent and energy detail, which is maintained separately and directly by OMB. And that's my report for this month. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I will go to the district manager's report, who will not have a clock. She's the only one that doesn't have a clock. Farah Q. Rubin. Farah, you're muted. If you could unmute yourself.
I have to repeat all that. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there tonight. I did break my ankle, unfortunately, and I had some surgery, so I'm recovering this week and working remotely, but it's great to see everyone. And thank you all for coming out tonight. I know it was a very hard evening for people to travel. I do want to first and foremost thank my team, my staff, Artie and Pablo, for helping set up for tonight and really doing everything while I've been out this week. Thank you. It seems like everything's running smoothly tonight, and it's great. So thank you again. I will be working remotely through this week, but we'll keep everyone informed on when I will be coming back to the office. Anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed our first newsletter that we had for the fall winter season, and considering doing this more as a quarterly newsletter as opposed to monthly. Our new community coordinator, Artie, has been taking multiple trainings still and just trying to get him set up so he can do our FMS inputs as soon as possible. We did recently schedule a Department of Buildings Constituent Services event in our office December 15th. And it was for residents, anyone who had questions for DOB to come in. It really was a great success. It went very well. We had more people we could handle to stay in the office. So we will definitely be arranging for more dates in the future as a resource for the community. Our office did receive 100 tickets to the Yankee Winter Wonderland event in December, and we were happy to distribute them all to Kingsbridge Heights Community Center and our local shelter. And they were offered for the children there with their families. They all received a toy, hot chocolate. They met Santa, and they went to Yankee Stadium. So thank you, Yankee Stadium, for providing that. We have secured all the meeting spaces for our full board meetings through June. I want to thank Intech again for providing their space tonight, as well as their tech expert. So thank you again. And we will be in all the different areas of the district, Riverdale, Kingsbridge, Van Cortlandt, and Marble Hill, as requested by our board. Please be sure to always check the calendar because our locations change every month. We are working on getting ready to post press releases and do outreach for nominations for the Community Board Awards. We have the Comeback Kid Awards, the Yankee Awards, Irving Latimer Community Service Award, and the Betty Campbell Adams Most Valuable Merchant Award. So we'll be working with the Youth Economic Development and Community Service Award committees on this. I want to make sure that all of our committees are now comfortable with running the Zoom meetings. And if you or a member of the committee still needs a training, just let me know and we'll arrange for that. Lastly, I held a district service cabinet meeting on January 2nd and will post the minutes to the full board shortly. I will hold the next district service cabinet meeting on Tuesday, February 6th. And thank you for sending in all your requests to follow up on. Thank you again. I hope everyone had a happy new year and a healthy one. Have a good night.
Thank you, Farah. Does anyone have any questions for District Manager Rubin?
I just have a comment.
Can you hear?
You can hear me, I'll talk loud. I just wanted to say that DOB event in the office was great. I think the woman's name is Nairobi, and I put something out there, and it was followed up within a week. And I just thought it was really good. And she even said to me she was surprised what Vera said is the turnout that came out to the office. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Chris. I hope you heard him, Farah.
I think I got the gist. Thank you, Chris. And yes, I'm glad you came and were able to get some answers and some follow-up. So we'll be doing it again soon.
Thank you. So the next item is the election of committee chairperson. The committee chair of Environment and Sanitation is available. Felicity nominated Daniel Rowan. Is there a second? 3 seconds. Daniel? Okay, so any other nominations from the floor? Okay, let's close. Okay, all in favor? Any objections? Abstentions? Thank you so much, Daniel. You'll do wonderful. I know you will. Thank you. Okay, so now it's 8:15. We're going to start with the committee reports and resolutions. Everyone hopefully read the resolutions. I know, Ed, you have a lot. If you can go right to the therefore and the substance.
Thank you. So public safety has various resolutions. The first one is a renewal application, liquor, wine, beer, and cider. Riverdale Steakhouse, 50th Precinct, had no issues, no previous complaints about this business. Public Safety Committee approved it unanimously. I'd like to take a vote on this. Is there anyone who opposes or wants to abstain from approving this application? I don't see any hands. I don't hear anyone. I don't see anybody up on the screen. So this renewal application for Riverdale Steakhouse passes unanimously. Our second resolution is for corporate change, liquor, wine, beer, and cider. This was for Bacagua, which is the new name. It's at 3541 Riverdale Avenue.
And Jemmy is the new owner, and she is changing the name of the business from Mamajuana Cafe Prime to Bacagua. She signed a 2 a.m. closing agreement, agreeing to close the establishment by 2 a.m. of the first year of operation. 50th had no issues with it, and the Public Safety Committee approved this application unanimously. Is there anyone who opposes or wants to abstain from approving this corporate change? I don't see anyone or hear anyone, so this corporate change is approved unanimously by our board. Okay, so I feel like I'm echoing. The next resolution is for Office of Cannabis Management New Establishment License. So we had Green Healthy Living Social Club LLC located at 5625 Broadway, and the applicant stated that they are presently operating an illegal smoke shop at the same address he's applying for the cannabis license. And the applicant also stated that his business has been previously fined by law enforcement for illegally selling his product to underage customers. So the Public Safety Committee voted unanimously to disapprove this application. So we would be voting on approving this resolution to disapprove the application. So is there anyone who, so again, we're voting to approve the resolution to disapprove this application. Is there anybody who is opposed or wants to abstain from disapproving this application? I don't see anyone, I don't hear anyone. The resolution passes unanimously. Okay, second one, Office of Cannabis Management, new establishment license, Trendy Threads, 206 West 231st Street. So again, the applicant stated he's presently operating an illegal smoke shop at the same time, at the same address he's applying for the cannabis license. So based on that, the Public Safety Committee voted unanimously to disapprove the application. So this resolution is to disapprove we approve to disapprove the application. So is there anybody who wants to abstain or opposes disapproving this application?
I would disapprove it.
What was that? Oh, okay. Did she
This
say?
is Georgia, I'm sorry. You didn't hear me.
What did she say?
I said I would disapprove of it. No, I wouldn't vote for it.
That's the right answer, right? Georgia, the resolution is to disapprove this application. Is that what you intended?
Yes.
Okay, so we unanimously disapprove this application. Okay, so just to slightly give this context, we had a resolution that we withdrew and are replacing it with another due to some circumstances surrounding this bill, intro bill 586. I hope everybody read the resolution, and I'm going to read the resolution because this, and you know, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's very important, some of these things, and it's very important that we have a quorum tonight. So thank you everybody for coming out in some pretty nasty weather. So I'm going to read the resolution. If you haven't, this is break it down. So whereas on December 20th, 2023, the New York City Council passed intro bill number 586, also known as the How Many Stops Act, a legislative bill requiring New York City police officers to file a separate police report on each level 1 interaction with the public. And whereas according to NYPD Patrol Guide for level 1 stops, Information can be requested from an individual and does not require any suspicion of criminal activity. The objective is to gather information and not to focus on the person as a potential suspect. And whereas examples of level 1 stops include officers speaking to witnesses of a crime, seeking information from residents about a missing child or a fight in the park, canvassing subway riders about a reported crime, asking residents about a local crime in response to a 911 call, or asking a store owner if there is video footage of a recent crime. And whereas the How Many Stops Act requires police officers to report on the race, ethnicity, gender, and age of every person involved and detail the circumstances and outcomes for each level 1 interaction. And whereas federal court has already imposed reporting mandates on level 3 interactions, but rejected a previous effort to require NYPD officers to complete additional paperwork, finding that imposing additional reporting requirements on police officers were unnecessary. However, police officers must activate their body cams when engaging in level 1 encounters. Whereas Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark opposes Bill number 586 due to negative impacts on community policing, citing longer response times and fewer positive interactions between police and the public. And whereas New York City Mayor Eric Adams opposes intro bill number 586 as written and has publicly sworn to veto it, saying the New York City Council has taken action today that, if implemented, will unquestionably make our city less safe. And whereas the Public Safety Committee of Bronx Community Board 8 voted to oppose intro number 586 at their December 19th meeting, because level 1 interaction reports will place an onerous bureaucratic burden on NYPD that will interfere with police work and sends a message that NYPD officers are not to be trusted with the most fundamental aspects of their profession. Therefore, be it resolved, Bronx Community Board 8 urges Mayor Adams to veto intro bill number 586. And be it further resolved, Bronx Community Board 8 urges our city council representatives, Carmen De La Rosa, Eric Dinowitz, and Karina Ana Sanchez not to vote to override Mayor Adams's veto of intro bill number 586. Are there any questions? Wow. Steve.
What is the level 3 interaction?
Okay, I can answer that. Level, this is coming from the, what is it, the officer's handbook or whatever it is. Okay, so level 3 interaction is an officer may detain an individual for a brief period of time upon reasonable suspicion that the person committed, was committing, or is about to commit a crime, otherwise known as a Terry stop. So you can, right, they're already, that's already being documented. Okay, Nick. Yes, we do. All 3 of them voted to pass this bill. And just to give it a little more context, Nick, the city council would require 34 votes to override the mayor's veto. In their initial vote, they had 35 votes. So what'll happen if the mayor has a certain period of time, 30 days, I believe, to veto it. So if the mayor does indeed veto it, and he has publicly stated he will, then the city council would vote again on it. So we need to change a few minds on this. So all we need is at least, if they don't have 34, they can't override the mayor's veto. That's the bottom line.
So we're asking to change the vote. They already voted for it.
Well,
Now you want to vote against.
Well,
What was my question? What was their, did we know their, what was his rationale?
you got an hour? I can't answer that question. Coherently.
Well, we have waiting to speak after you.
Am I on?
Oh, Chuck has his hand up.
I'd like to know how our 3 council members voted on the first go-round.
Let me introduce.
Shall I repeat? I'd like to know how the 3 council members representing this community voted on the first vote on this bill.
They voted to approve the bill, Chuck.
All 3?
All 3.
I guess they're gonna have to live with that on the second go-around, or change their mind, but they're gonna have to face the electorate at some point.
That's the plan. Oh, Council Sanchez. Is she unmuted?
I'm unmuted. I'm just not, I can't hear anyone but who is in front of the microphone.
Go ahead.
Sure. Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for putting forth this resolution. It's a really important bill, and it's a really important topic. And I voted firmly to affirm this bill. I voted firmly in support of 586. And I will explain why, from the perspective of representing District 14, and being a woman of color and a person of color, and in staunch recognition that policing in New York City continues to be extremely racialized. It continues to overly go after and over police communities like mine, Black and Brown communities. That reality has not changed. In fact, under this mayoralty, we're seeing increase in practices of stop and frisk. And you know, for me as an individual, but more importantly, as a representative of a community that is over 98% of color, I think it is the responsibility of the body of the city council to fight the kind of discrimination that we face as individuals of color in the city of New York. And the How Many Stops Act really just seeks to bring, it's a reporting bill, first of all, it's a reporting bill, and it seeks to bring transparency to the electorate, to New Yorkers, about how these individuals who are funded and they receive their salaries through your taxpayer dollars, how are they spending their time? Who are they talking to, and what about specifically when they are conducting conversations, having conversations that are about, they involve suspicion of a crime, investigation of some sort. And you know, I hear some of the talking points that we discussed at length, and I'm talking about hours and hours in Democratic conference in this year, New York City Council. The speaker is extremely supportive of this bill herself. All of these talking points and every point in the resolution that you've mentioned are points that we have countered and that we have explained. And I'll highlight one in particular, and it is the one about, you know, stating that we would be taking away community policing resources. We're talking about an app on a phone, city-issued phone, by the way, that New York City police officers have, where they would input information. This is not them going back to their desks and filling out piles and piles of paperwork. It's 2024, as we all know. You know, and this is, we've heard arguments like this, arguments about, you know, just not wanting to mire our officers in paperwork that, you know, simply, I think are coming from a misleading place. Nobody wants to do more paperwork as a person with a job. You know, I can understand that, but that doesn't mean that it's not important for the public and that it's not important for the broader goal of, you know, fighting inequality and racism in our city and in our institutions. The one of the most egregious of which, in terms of racial inequity and discrimination, is the police department, continues to be the police department. I am all for, you know, listening to arguments. Of course, those of you I've had a chance to work with know that. But, you know, what we've gotten into in terms of the relationship between the council and this administration is that when they don't like a piece of legislation and they don't like a proposal, and I'm talking about Mayor Adams and I'm talking about the way that he has been leading his staff, they just shut down the discussion. They don't negotiate, they don't have conversation. And I speak to that as someone who passed a bill that was vetoed by the mayor and that was overridden again by the council in terms of the expansion of the FEPS voucher program, which, you know, actually goes into effect today. But that's been their approach in my experience is we don't like your bill, we don't like your policy, so we're just going to shut down discussion. And that's bad for public policy. That's bad for, you know, bringing our city forward and leading in the way that you all as our constituents need us to. So you put me on the spot at this very moment on 586. I had other updates to share, but you know, I think it's important that you hear why I, as an individual who represents the district I represent, voted in the way that I did, and will vote to override the mayor's veto if it should come.
Hello.
Eric, do you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, sure. First, hi, Councilor Sanchez. I do want to note I was very proud to vote for her override for her legislation on the city FEPS voucher package. I want to start by encouraging all of you to sign up for my newsletter because I give a very long explanation about the bill, what it does, what it doesn't do, and why I voted the way I did. So Eric Dinowitz at NYC/newsletter. I will tell you that when I first heard the bill, I was originally, I think, where a lot of people maybe in this room where you maybe took a step back and say, this is going to be a ton of paperwork. It's going to take so much time away from the police. And then I started, you know, listening to people about the racial inequity. And if you don't believe there's racial inequity in the systems, I'm not talking about our individual cops in the corner. I'm talking about the system. There's a federal monitor in place to address this very issue that came out in 2013 as a result of stop and frisk. And all of their documentation is online. And I poured through a lot of those documents. I've read through the police, the manual, the patrol guide. And a few things jumped out at me. What the bill does is it says the police department has to report on certain levels of stops. Right now, they just report on level 3.
Coughing.
Right now, it's just level 3 stops. You press the timer button. Sorry, 1 second, everyone. To the left. Everyone, hold on. Community, hold on a sec. There. Okay. So it's a reporting bill. So what we had in the past was level 3 stops being reported. Level 3 stops are when they stop someone on the street and they think you are a person who has done something wrong, and we can search you. You can't run away. You are not free to leave. What wasn't being reported on was level 2s and 1s. What was happening was there were a lot of anecdotal reports, overwhelming number of reports of racial disparities in these stops and police officers mislabeling the level of stops. And that was deeply impacting communities of color. Deeply impacting communities of color. What this bill does, it says you have to report on level 2 and 1 stops. Now, regarding the paperwork, because of the work of the federal monitor, the police are already recording the level 2 stops and the apparent race and a lot of that information that's in the patrol guide. It's in the publicly available reports on the federal monitor's website. And speaking to police, you know, they were saying, yeah, of course, in our logbook, we're writing down anytime we stop someone for an investigative purpose. And that is specifically says the investigative purpose. There was a Post article that said, oh, if a cop stops you or if someone stops a cop to ask for directions after report it, that's a lie. It's just flat out untrue. That's not an investigative encounter. It just isn't. So investigative encounters are when police think that there's some sort of criminal activity, could be, maybe going on, and they just have to write down that they stopped people. That's it. And we get a report, and with data, with the report, much of the information, again, which they are already writing down, they're just not reporting on it. With that information, we're able to start to address some of the disparities. And if there are no disparities, then that's even better. Then they're reporting that there are no disparities and everything's hunky dory. But it is the only agency where a reporting bill seems to be the most controversial thing on the planet. We as a council pass dozens and dozens of reporting bills throughout the year, from the Department of Buildings to HPD to the Department of Education. And we are asking the NYPD to do the exact same thing.
Oh, okay, we have a couple of hands. Okay, we have another hand up over here.
The veto, I believe, has to be by January 19th. I'm a member of the Public Safety Committee, and I strongly support this because we want to encourage community policing, not discourage community policing. These kind of questions, we're not talking about level 2s. Level 3s is already being documented completely, fully under the federal. We are talking about level 1s. So if police are looking for a lost child or asking information about a 911 call, this does take time to respond and to ask the person's age, race, discuss the
That's
whole.
not what the bill does. That's not what the bill does.
But it takes.
It doesn't require them to ask.
Yes, it does.
So no, it
According to
doesn't.
What we have, according to what we've read the bill, it does. And if I would not want to respond to that personally, because I figure it's a privacy issue. But there's a chilling effect on community policing. Here in the 50th precinct, my 30 years on this board, whether the resident lives in Marble Hill, Van Fulton Village, Riverdale, every corner, they want to see more police. They want to see enforcement. They're concerned about quality of life. That's all we hear. And my conversations with the 50th Precinct Community Council, that president, she feels that she wants to see police out of their vehicles. She wants community policing. She feels this is a terrible vote of confidence in the police. And, you know, there are many, the Chamber of Commerce and many groups are opposed to this bill. It's as we've said, we're only opposing the number 1 stops, which are very innocuous and don't need to be done, but there's many thousands of them. And whether you're pushing a pencil or you're working on your, you know, handheld computer, it's not practical. It's not the right thing to do. And I don't believe that 50th Precinct deserves this. Thank you.
So Laura, let me share 2 things with you. One is that the bill actually says that what the bill says, it doesn't say you're reporting on the age, the race, gender.
No, no one can hear this being said on Zoom. But he heard you, right? He had a buck later, most people do. Okay. No, I'm talking to Ed, I'm not talking to him. I just want to move this along. I just want to move this along. This is like 8:35, 8:40. Everyone made very good points. Everyone has just as anyone, is this the first time anyone's hearing about this resolution? It is? Okay, so then the rabbi has a question. You heard your hand up. Let's just move this along. If someone said something already, please don't repeat it. We have the City of Yes resolution we must speak of. We have a traffic and transportation resolution we have to do. We have to move this along. We have Council Member Sanchez, who was on earlier, and I did call her, but we didn't see her on. She just wants to give a brief statement, and then let's just move on. The Council Member Sanchez. Excuse me. Yes. What? Yeah,
Okay, the motion?
My motion?
Yes.
My motion to table this because I do not hear the council people that are being addressed, or the arguments being addressed, having been part of the discussion at the committee level. Had they been part of the discussion at the committee level, and had there been a clear and precise discussion about this that included alternative voices, then I feel that we can vote on this. At this particular point, I feel that this kind of discussion needs to happen with the council people at a meeting with the protagonists of the situation. I feel that the council people need to be at the meeting and in discussion with the committee. And had that happened, then I would be prepared to vote. I'm not prepared to vote on this because I'm hearing the alternative arguments from the council people. And I think that the gravity of this situation, considering what has been put on the table about the history of certain issues around Black and people of color in the city, and policing issues, needs to be fully vetted in front of a committee with the council people who voted in all good faith. So I move to table the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Time constraints, that's not possible.
Okay, second, okay. Yes.
Okay, making sure.
Table moves on. Okay, so then we're voting to table. No, first we have.
There were still people with their hands up, like Margaret Della and Councilman Dinowitz, who didn't finish. I just wanted to mention that.
Steve, point of order. No discussion, just a vote. We're voting on the motion or we're voting on to table? Okay, so those are in favor of tabling the resolution at this time for more input. No, we're doing votes. I don't think there's discussion when you vote on the motion, right?
No discussion on that.
Okay, so you have the names? Go ahead.
So, Gillian? And it's just easier. Okay. Brandon? Yeah. Brandon? Oppose, stay in favor? Yeah, I'm going down the list, it's easier. Opposed?
Yeah.
Okay. Kelly Gifford? Calhoun? Chiliapoli? Fanuzzi? Fazio? Gibbs? Gomez? Green? Houseman? Hilliard? I'm sorry? In favor? Okay. Jablowski? Kale? Kaplan?
In favor.
Carpenter? Lamb? Lobos? Reyes? Rowan? Singh?
In favor.
Sosa? Spolster?
Didn't hear my name called.
Yes, which one's on? Chuck?
Table.
Table? Okay. Margaret? Margaret?
Are you calling me? I'm in favor of tabling.
Okay. Marty?
Table.
Okay. And Georgia? Georgia? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, fruit. Okay. Anyone? Yes? Oh, I'm sorry, Constant. In favor, okay. Okay, Georgia's. So we have. Rita? Rita, can you hear me? Can you hear me, please? Rita, do you, what's your vote, to table the motion on opposition to the city council intro bill number 586? Do you want it to go back to committee? Is unmuted. Rita, we need your vote. Rita, can you hear us? Okay, we have 1. Thirteen opposed. In favor. Rita, we need you to vote.
Table.
You table, okay?
Yes.
Table. Okay, the motion is tabled, Madam Chair. 13:15.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Thank you.
I just want to say that both of you on the 19th, so it can't be taken to next month. That's it.
Well, how long will the city council have to vote to override it?
Then on the 19th, January 19th.
That's the veto.
That's the veto.
Right, so they have.
They'll have.
Vote has been taken, vote has been taken.
Okay, I'm just gonna take over for a minute. I'm gonna put Councilwoman Sanchez back on. She can answer it because the mayor first has to veto it, and then they get it, they don't get it right that next day. So Councilwoman Sanchez, and also please give your report as well. Can you unmute Councilwoman Sanchez? And then from there, Councilwoman Sanchez is 10 to 9. We really are on a limited time period, and we have 2 other resolutions that we must do this evening. Thank you.
Yes, so I can get you the exact time frame, but it's 40, I believe it's 45 days. So after the mayor veto, we have 45 days to call a committee meeting, committee vote, and then the stated vote. Okay. It could be 30, Councilmember Dinowitz, so it's between 30 and 45. I will, we'll get back to you on that. And I, for one, would be happy to come and, you know, discuss in committee. Just let my office know. I won't, you know, it's yep, 10 to 9. So just want to highlight, if I am able to remain the committee chair on the Committee on Housing, Buildings in the City Council, I do plan to have an oversight hearing on the collapse that occurred in my district at 1915 Billingsley Terrace, that has everything to do with facade issues and inspections, which came up in a meeting that I had yesterday with Councilmember Dinowitz and the Association of Riverdale Co-ops and Condos. Thank you for that. That was an excellent meeting where we talked about co-op governance and also, you know, the facade inspection problems, facade inspection program problems. That's a major highlight. The Kingsbridge Armory RFP is due January 18th. So we are very excited to see what comes in. EDC is saying that it's one of the most downloaded RFPs in EDC history. So hopefully that is, some kind of positive indication about the kinds of responses we'll be getting. But I look forward to engaging with you all on that. And because this is in CB8, I also wanted to highlight that my office had a tour today with the City Council's chair on Veterans Affairs, Councilmember Holden from Brooklyn. We had a tour of Jericho facility on Walton Avenue, but they also manage one on Kingsbridge Terrace. So it's a very important and great conversation. If you all have any concerns about the site on Kingsbridge Terrace, just want to encourage you to reach out to our office so we can help resolve any issues. And I'll stop there. Thank you so much for giving me the time. I wanted to make sure that after I put the baby down, I got to see at least some of your faces and hear some of your voices. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Sanchez, and thank you, Councilmember Dinowitz, for coming back online. When he heard that we were discussing this, he came back on. Thank you both. We're going to move on to the Housing Committee. Lee is off, so the resolution, everyone received the resolution, is a small segment in regards to the economic city of Yes. Basically, the Housing Committee opposes the Department of City's planning proposal to allow commercial development in residential buildings or niche developments. They want to be able to put commercial developments on the ground floor of New York City Housing Authority developments in residential areas, and also 15,000 square foot of a campus, which, as Laura points out.
Julie,
Yes.
Julie, you have 3 resolutions touching upon various aspects of the same bill. One coming out of, can you hear me?
Just
One,
we have a point of order here first, Julia Gomez.
can you hear me? Julie, you have 3 resolutions coming out of 3 different committees on the same subject.
We have a point of order. Julia asked, what did you ask? I'm sorry. We're going in order of the agenda. No, it's not a mistake. I make the agenda myself. We're going in this order. Yes, because I set the order like this so that we can do the resolutions. I mentioned in the beginning of the night that we're limited in the time that we're here. Financially, we cannot be here for 9, I say 9, 9:30, we have to pack up and leave. So I set the agenda as a prerogative of the chair. I'm doing the resolution for the housing. It's a small section of the economics, which we haven't even touched. And we must vote on this. And then we have traffic and transportation where we have SAR that we must do. Any other questions, Nick?
Yeah, okay. Yes, resolution be addressed.
Exactly.
Quite frankly, this is why I got issues with.
Well, let's just vote on it so we can move on. That's what the board members are here. So then let's discuss the resolution. Steve? Right. Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck. I'm sorry, I have my back to you.
Julie, you've got 3 resolutions
Right.
on the same subject matter, 3 different ones. One from housing, one from economic, and one from land use chair. The whole committee has not voted on it.
Right.
So may I make a suggestion to save time? Let each of the committee spokespersons speak to what they have done and why before you take any votes, because at the end of the day, you're only voting on the same single subject and you're dealing with bits and pieces of it.
Okay, that's fair enough. Does anyone have any objections to that? Yes. Did we?
Yeah,
Public, oh, I'm so sorry. Kelly, you just.
Thank you, everyone. I will be extremely brief. I have a resolution from the TNT committee coming from the floor. The resolution actually requests the SAR Academy at on 254th Street, their campus at 259th Street. They're holding their annual, their 55th annual celebration, and they are requesting curb lane restrictions on Saturday, February 3rd, 2024, for a full day. It will not have impact to the vehicular traffic, and they are seeking, again, the closure of the curb lanes. No vehicular traffic will be allowed to go on 259th Street. They are also seeking restrictions on the Netherland Avenue in Riverdale Avenue, right outside the campus at 259th Street. And that is the question before the board. And I'll just read the resolution itself. It reads, therefore be it resolved that Bronx Community Board 8 supports the issuance of a permit to the SAR Academy for the curb lane restrictions on West 259th Street between Riverdale Avenue and Netherland Avenue, and Netherland Avenue and 259th Street, and the dead-end street of Netherland Avenue on Saturday, February 3rd, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. Does anyone oppose the motion? Yes, you have a question?
No, I oppose.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone having any questions? Okay, hearing no questions, I recognize the two opposition from Bob Panuzzi and from Julia Reyes. You have a question? Okay.
My question about the question is, I would love to go for this field, please, that I got this because the street on Netherland Avenue is the next week. We take away 20 spots.
Can you use a microphone? We can't hear you.
So could we also make sure that all board members have a place to sit at the table?
There is plenty of space. There's plenty of.
This is ridiculous.
There's plenty of.
Point of order, I believe, Madam Chair, you have to cede the chair before you can participate in the discussion.
I seat the chair and I seat it to stop. Your turn. Okay, so on Netherland Avenue, there's a dead-end street and it has 40 parking spots. When I listened to the presentation, the SAR basically wanted to have available 259th Street so that people can get out and go into the venue, which I totally agree. The only reason that I will vote no is because we're taking away 40 spots from the community for no reason at all.
Thank you. I'll take back the chair. Again, I call a motion. Does anyone, the motion has been made. May I have a motion to accept? Thank you. Can we have a vote? I recognize Bob Panuzzi opposes, Julie Reyes opposes. Anyone wish to abstain? Okay. No, I don't need a roll call. I note that Ed Green opposes. I see you, Laura, you abstain. Ed opposes, and I'm sorry. I can't hear you. You're not eligible to vote. Okay. Okay, she's ineligible. She's abstaining for cause. Jessica? And Laura is abstaining. Laura Spalter is abstaining. Thank you. The next meeting, the next meeting is January 18th. Thank you.
The housing resolution, if anyone has no objections, we can take Chuck's requirements. She left. Is anyone opposed to listening to the resolutions and then vote? Okay, so the housing resolution. I know, we gotta get out of here, 9:30, we all have to walk out. So everyone read the resolution, I mentioned it, that they just do not want any commercial development within the NYCHA housing development. Yes, Nick.
Okay, so. Okay, good evening, everyone. I guess I'm speaking to the resolution presented by the Housing Committee. Can I borrow this for a second because it's on my phone just. Sorry. So there's several things in here that I take issue with. First of all, we took the Housing Committee's recommendation into consideration, into strong consideration when we drafted our resolution. And we have a contingency, and it was a concession on our part and a compromise. Many of us were, are opposed to it in some ways, but we, in the spirit of compromise against intransigence, we wanted to have everybody's voice. And although we didn't agree with the concerns, we recognize the concerns, and they are in our resolution that you will hear shortly. But since this resolution was called first, I have to address some of the inadequacies of this resolution. So first of all, it says that there is no benefit to commercial activity. Really? Businesses have a lot of benefits in this city. They pay taxes, they create jobs, they create foot traffic, it increases security. If I read this resolution, the only thing that businesses do are create trash, noise, garbage. And when we get to the contingency in our resolution, somebody spoke against the Yes for Economic Opportunity, and they said pollution. So that's right there for me in this resolution is disqualified. So I would not vote for it. But on top of that, there's other things in here. They say that commercial development will be detrimental to the quiet enjoyment of developments is unnecessary. Well, it is necessary because, particularly when it comes to NYCHA, because NYCHA doesn't have revenue. Of $4 billion in their operating budget, less than a quarter of it comes from actual revenue. The rest of it comes from public sources. They have a $20 billion capital debt. Their annual deficits are 120, 180, 240. It just keeps escalating. So there is the need, first of all. The other thing is, in our resolution, we give people in the NYCHA developments, the tenant organizations, the opportunity to weigh in. That is one of our contingencies. Because we don't speak for everybody that lives in NYCHA. And by the way, Parchester has commercial in their ground floor, and they own their units. Co-op City has commercial. They own their units. So it's good enough for them, but we are going to determine, we are going to say, this board is going to say that it's not good enough for the people that live there. I'm not saying that. That's all I have to say. I encourage everybody to vote no. Nevertheless, let me just say that because in the spirit of compromise, we did put a contingency into our resolution that would give the community board and the resident tenant organization an opportunity to weigh in. And we exactly, based on the information and the feedback we got at land use and from housing, we flipped the recommendation to say that it is prohibited unless. So we listened. It's not what we wanted. We listened, in the spirit of compromise against intransigence. So I encourage you to vote no on this and yes on our resolution until you're sure. Thank you.
And just on behalf of the housing committee, they did speak with the Knights representatives
Do not want any commercial in their buildings. Chuck, do you want to speak on your resolution? Chuck, it's 9:10. So you want to speak on your resolution, Chuck?
Okay. Yes, I want first to say that Nick did indeed make a concerted effort to try and effect a compromise, and I thank him for that. There are two problems here, and then I'll get to the resolution. You'll see exactly why it's a problem. Under the way that city planning has been dealing with these issues, you have on your final checking voting list, you either vote yes or no. So the resolution is either yes or no, and the conditionals nowadays, the way it's set up, are not really counted. Part of the problem is the way that this has been loaded at the front end by city planning. Unfortunate, because it doesn't permit the kind of compromise that Nick and I were trying to work out. Now let me turn to this resolution. Wearing my hat as a member of the New York City Housing Development Corporation, which is the primary financier nowadays of NYCHA, I must tell you, this is a lousy resolution. The overwhelming majority of NYCHA residents that we've seen are unalterably opposed to it. But that's not the reason I'm opposing it. The reason I'm opposing it is it wasn't even as a resolution from city planning properly drafted. You can't do this sort of stuff. They are trying to take the garden areas, the sitting areas, the parking areas. Take a look at Marble Hill. They call it infill. If you have green, we'll put another building in there. We have done something wrong. The people who live in housing authority buildings are not condemned to a sardine can. And that is what the city of New York and the housing authority is trying to do. Put affordable housing at the top end of the ledge in the middle of a housing authority project, thereby taking away all of the green space for the people. That's wrong, and this is part of that plan. You know where this is coming from? Many of the housing authority buildings are no longer run by the housing authority. They're run by private development entities for their own benefit, in the view that at some point they'll be allowed to take them over, buy them, and have a grand old time. This is wrong. Let me make a point to you, which is important. This resolution, the economic resolution, has 5 pieces.
I'm sorry, Chuck, before you go to the economic, the housing committee resolution states that they oppose commercial within the housing developments. Are you for or against that?
I'm in favor of the housing committee resolution. Let me be clear. But I want to be clear that there are 5 pieces of this economic thing that have caused a problem. They are having nightlife in residential areas, amusement facilities in residential areas, the entrepreneurship, and
Chuck,
then
I'm sorry, they're calling point of
okay.
reference. The motion was.
If the motion is only on the housing portion, I stand rebuked appropriately. I am in favor of that resolution. It's a bad idea. It doesn't help the people.
Okay, Laura?
I'm so sorry that Rosemary Ginty, the chair of the housing committee, is not here tonight. She's in London. And no, it didn't get seconded yet. It didn't. You know something? This. Thank you. The problem with tabling it is that this needs to be sent to the Department of City Planning this week. There is no tabling to Community Board 8 next month meeting. There is no point, you can't table it because. Yes, and I'm so sorry that Lee is not here tonight. There's no one really here to speak for it, but I think that,
Well, the resolution was very plain and simple. They do not want commercial.
yes, and I support it.
Why can't I vote on it? It's vote on it. That's a vote. Yeah, motion, second. No, second. Lord, I second it.
I'm sorry, but Laura was already speaking and then someone seconded it.
Julie, the resolution does not require a second. It comes from a committee.
Yes, it's from the Housing Committee.
Doesn't require a second.
A resolution? No, because it went out. It's part of the agenda. Okay, those in favor of tabling the Housing Committee resolution? We have 3 hands. Those opposed to tabling the housing resolution? Okay, any abstentions? Okay, let's vote. Who is in favor of the housing resolution not to allow commercial establishments within the NYCHA and complexes?
Okay. Bias. Watson. Barnes.
If you support the housing resolution not to allow commercial establishments within their complex. They want to put commercial establishments within the housing on the ground. It's a nice, which, as the committee has mentioned, that will take away from not. So you're holding commercial.
Okay. Bender. Buford. Calhoun. Chilapoli. Della. Della. Panuzzi. Fazio. Fruit. Gibbs. Gomez. Green. Houseman. Hilliard. Jablowski. Cal. Kaplan.
Favor is that having grown up in a NYCHA housing project, in favor.
Coppinger. Lang. Mugler.
Can't hear you when you don't have the mic, we can't hear you.
Margaret and Chuck, are you in favor of the housing resolution?
I am in favor.
Chuck is in favor.
I am in favor.
Margaret's in favor. Thank you. Georgia, are you on the line?
Reyes. Rowan. Santiago. Georgia. Okay. Singh. Sosa. Spalter in favor. Wolkoff.
I appreciate Nick's comments about the vocabulary concerning commercial enterprise, but I support, yes.
Okay, thank you. Rita, how do you vote? Oh. Rita, unmute yourself. Rita, you have to press the button that says unmute.
Are you calling Rita Lowe?
Are you in favor or opposed?
Abstain, abstain. Abstain.
Oh, thank you, Rita.
Well, he's counting between Chuck and Nick. I believe that you two come with an agreement. Or are you each going to propose each of your resolutions?
The two
For the
resolutions,
city of yes.
the resolutions are inconsistent. That's what I was trying to point out to you.
I know, but I thought you guys would work something out here. So do you want to do a resolution? The borough president is meeting, I believe, at the end of the month.
If you give me 30 seconds, I'll
The
tell you.
resolutions between. Right. Right.
Madam
In
Chair,
regards to the housing, they are in favor of the housing resolution to not allow commercial development.
Madam Chair, I can simplify this considerably. There are
I'm announcing the count, 11 opposed, 1 abstained, 16 in favor of the housing resolution.
Could you repeat that, please?
We had 3 joint meetings. Yes. Right, and I'll fill everyone in. I will do my best. I'll do my best. So this has been as. Sure. Sure.
5 minutes and then we vote and we're at it. Okay?
So, before you should have a resolution that was passed unanimously by the Economic Development Committee. It was at the Joint Land Use Economic Development Committee, which we had 3 of them. And the reason why we had them, even though us on the Economic Development Committee that work in economic development, either as
Well, David Courier.
our volunteer job, excuse me. We were obviously very much in favor of the city of Yes for economic opportunity for some reasons that are outlined and highlighted in the whereas clauses of our resolution.
Well, David Courier.
In the attempt, excuse me, someone please mute. Thank you. In our attempt to create a compromise and to be collaborative, we worked with land use and we heard from housing. And we made significant concessions in our efforts to compromise. When we brought those concessions to the last meeting, we were told it wasn't good enough, and they gave us some suggestions. We agreed to those. Again, second, I don't know if there was a second or third time with friendly amendments. And so we have the resolution that's in front of us. So we are very comfortable with what we have. Some feel like we've given up too much in terms of our concessions. So we're at the point where we're gonna present this to you, and we encourage you all to be in support. Now, some of the reasons why we're in favor of this, what's the problem? What's the matter? Oh, when I'm finished, I'll take this question. So, I'm getting to it. The City of Yes for economic opportunity is about innovation. It's about moving the economy forward. It's about growth. It's about opportunity. It's about creating jobs. It's also about equality, and it's about inclusion. And again, if you read through the whereas clauses, you'll see many of these things that are in here. In terms of innovation and the evolution of the economy, the current regulatory framework is from 1961. 3D printing, advanced manufacturing, small batch manufacturing, cell phone repair. They didn't exist in 1961. Maybe they did on Star Trek, but they were science fiction. But now they're a part of the economy. So we have to allow our entrepreneurs and our businesses the opportunity to be able to meet the new needs of the market. But right now, the current framework is not an opportunity, it's a hindrance. So it's hindering those businesses. This is also about economic security. Because New York City, we have a GDP of $1.8 trillion. That's the same as the country of Russia. But we're 1/1000th of the landmass, like a percentage of 1%. Okay? So no wonder our land is expensive. Now, this is a blessing and a curse, right? Because 33% of that GDP is generated through multipliers from the financial sector. So we are heavily dependent on the financial sector. And that's fine as long as New York is the center of the global universe and we are the allocators of capital throughout the world. But what if we're not? And this is why it's about jobs and opportunity. Because not all of us are going to work on Wall Street. Not all of us are going to go to work for white shoe law firms and earn $1,500 an hour during doing mergers and acquisitions in the financial sector. We're not going to create collateralized debt obligations because these are our exports. This is what we make now. Okay, but it's not cut out for everyone. Not everyone's going to want to do that. We need to create a path to the middle class for other people, for regular people that are just trying to get ahead. And that's where production comes in and manufacturing, which is also a second resolution regarding manufacturing that we intended to bring from the floor. Because production-based activities, they have better wages, better hours, more advancement, better opportunities for training and education. And if you look at wage differential between minorities and non-minorities, men and women, if they're involved in production activities in the economy, they're negligible. So production is the great equalizer. But since 1961, our manufacturing went from 40% to less than 2%. There's no wonder there's income inequality in the city.
Speak to the motion.
I am speaking to the motion.
You're editorializing. What is on the page?
This is on the page.
Tell us what you want.
This is on the page. So all of the issues that all of these reasons are the reasons why we are very much in favor of the City of Yester economic opportunity. Okay, it is about opportunity over hindrance, innovation over stagnation, growth over decay, and it is about compromise because we took all the information that Land Foods gave us, we addressed each of the major issues that Chuck and I went over line by line. Okay. And we addressed every single one of them and we changed the wording of each of them. So proposal 11 and all provisions therein are amended to require approval of appropriate tenant organizations, co-op boards, and this is enabling entrepreneurship and home occupation, or such resident associations for each residential building. Furthermore, each residential building's appropriate tenant organization or association for shareholders shall have authority to determine the process by which in-home businesses receive such approvals. Proposal 15 is amended to require a vote of approval by the local community and is represented in tenant association for each commercial campus. Proposal 16, creating a process for allowing commercial corner stores and residential neighborhoods is prohibited unless there is approval by the local community board. So all of the things that we put in were from the information and from the objections that people had to the City of Yester economic opportunity. So again, I encourage you to vote in favor. I encourage you to take a look at what the Economic Development Committee, how they voted on this, because they are the real experts. They are in the trenches. Okay, I got a degree in urban policy and planning from CUNY Hunter. You know what that means? I paid somebody a lot of money to give me a piece of paper to say I'm an expert. Okay, but I'm not an expert. They're the real experts. They voted unanimously in favor, and I encourage you to do the same.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick. And I apologize to everybody. I know it's tight, but I do want to say that economic development and the land use that they worked on the meetings for 3 meetings they came to, I thought was a fair compromise, and that they reversed the resolution to vote no, unless you switched it since then, Nick and Chuck, it's still a no, right?
Yes, can I tell you
Yes,
what?
please, Chuck. Oh, wait, point, there's a motion on the floor
I'm going to speak, if I may speak to that motion, I'm going to do it 2 in 1. Do my motion and this at the same time.
Are you speaking on Bob Feruzzi's motion?
I am speaking on the Economic Committee's resolution.
Okay.
I have a problem. This is a zoning resolution. It is not an economic measure. It is enforced by a building inspector who should be in a green uniform without pockets. And you know why I say that. It is enforced by a building inspector. I know because I did it for 2.5 years. My point to you is the following. One of these items, we have a problem with 5 of them from a zoning standpoint. A zoning standpoint. One of them is to allow in a residential area a nightclub. We had one. We had one on the top of Riverdale Avenue. It took us a year to get the building department to get them the hell out, with all of the community screaming and yelling. The next one allows an amusement center right in the middle of your neighborhood. And if you think you want to sleep at night, that's a great way of doing it. Another one allows a whole campus to be built if you muster roughly 1.5 acres. These are bad zoning decisions. This is not an economic decision. I have no problem with any of them other than these 5. Items number 9, 10, 11, 15, and 16. They've got to be defeated, because if we don't defeat them, I will tell you, you're going to spend the next few years figuring out why it is there's a guy playing the drums till 1 o'clock in the morning with a band right next to you, a single family house.
Pardon me, Chuck, are you voting for or against Nick's resolution?
I am voting against it because it does not exclude 9, 10, 11, 15, and 16.
Madam Chair, I had my hand up. Fellow board members, I beg your forbearance and recognition of my right to speak on Nick's motion. I appreciate and congratulate Nick for his incredible research and reaching across the aisles of the community board to present this motion in front of us today. I urge this board to vote against the motion for the following reasons. First, you cannot negotiate with city planning on a zoning text change. This is a generic change citywide. We will not be able to carve out the well-meaning exceptions that Nick has offered, and only by voting no will we get the recognition and conversation with city planning that we desire. Secondly, there is absolutely no correlation between non-contextual and non-conforming uses, which is what the Open Zone requires, and economic development. Let me repeat that. There is no correlation or causation between non-conforming uses, which is commercial and residential, and economic development. They are separate, and there is absolutely no evidence that this will lead to any increase in economic activity. Lastly, it would be great if this was a thought experiment that could succeed, that let's mix up housing and commercial. If that were true, perhaps this would be some evidence or need in this community board. We are enjoined to represent our community needs and determine our community needs. If this resolution came from land use without recognition of RNP or any community stakeholder group, we would reject it completely. There is no evidence of economic need or opportunity or endorsement from the Kingsbridge bid, from the Riverdale Main Street Alliance, from KRVC. We would never proceed on a thought experiment from a committee without stakeholder input or approval. Because we are community board members first and foremost, and may have an interest in economic development citywide, we must respect the needs and opportunities for our district. I urge you to vote no and to send city planning a message to work with us for local-based economic development. Thank you.
May I inquire who that was?
That was Bob Panuzzi.
Oh.
I agree with Bob Panuzzi, because I believe this changing the zoning to allow so much commercial activity in residential neighborhoods from R1, R2 up will have a very detrimental effect in Community Board 8. And there's a reason that you have separation of commercial areas and residential areas. And I commend the Economic Committee for the carve-outs that they did and the reasons that they gave, and I agree with those objections. I have those objections. The problem is when you say yes, but city planning will not pay attention to that. They will not listen to that. They just see on top. If you vote no, they will look at that. And maybe at the city council level, there will be some changes because there were 18 proposals. And so there isn't a choice. It's to me, you have to vote no in order to get the amendments and any changes further down. And I'm sorry Lee is not here because she worked for the borough president's office in Manhattan on land use, on city planning, and she said this emphatically at executive committee from her years of work, that if you vote yes, but they don't even pay attention to that. And I'm sorry she's not here to say it.
And that's why the Economic Development Committee reversed their resolution and said no with the conditions.
But it will be ignored.
Did you say that, what was your economic development resolution at the end from the last?
Yes.
With conditions?
Yes.
I'm not going to pretend to guess what city planning is thinking or how city planning is going to react. I think our job here tonight is to reflect the thinking of Bronx Community Board 8 and let city planning decide what they want to decide. There were 4 issues that came up repeatedly in the joint meetings that we had, land use and economic development. To his credit, Nick has addressed all of those issues in this resolution. I would also point out that city planning is not the only audience for this resolution. Ultimately, the decisions on these issues are going to go to the city council. We have 3 city council members and they're going to read this resolution. And I don't pretend to guess how they're going to react to it any more than I would guess about city planning. But I think that this resolution reflects the discussions that took place at 3 different meetings combined of the Economic Development and Land Use Committees. I would also point out as a member of the Riverdale Main Streets Alliance that the fact that the Alliance has not taken a position on this issue should neither be understood as favorable or unfavorable. Thank you.
And if you pass it, you can scrap the 197A plan. It's over.
Okay, so Margaret and Marty, then that's it?
I have a point of order that I wanted to discuss from hours ago, so I'll wait until this is resolved.
And Margaret and Marty have to do that.
Just as a point of order, I would like to request that even if this resolution does not pass in line with Bob's comments, I would ask that this copy of this resolution, even if it doesn't pass, be sent to our city council members so that they can understand the thinking of the board that went into the 3 meetings and the compromises, et cetera. That's just a request.
Margaret? Margaret, please unmute yourself. Margaret?
I have a point of order from several hours ago. I'll wait until this is resolved.
Marty?
Yeah, this is the first time I've worked with Nick, and I am truly impressed and think that the board is well served by having someone as knowledgeable and mostly involved in his objectives. So I really appreciate having worked with him. My feeling, however, is that we have been screwed by the city more times than I can remember. Going back to not the latest, but the one before that, city charter change, when the borough presidents were told, and we voted for powers of the borough presidency that disappeared as soon as the city charter was passed. They changed the rules. Last week, we received a change of amendment, a change of whatever, in which the city told us that with respect to approval of certain kinds of buildings, they no longer need input if they define it as a small, and they define what definition of small is. I have no confidence that LPC has our best interest in mind. And as much as I appreciate what Nick has done, I'm going to vote against this resolution.
I'm gonna make this real quick. I just, for the record, want to say I think we should take a minute if we're voting down a resolution, not based on its merits, not because we can find any way to improve it, but solely by who it's going to.
Okay, excuse me.
Can I mean, we're gonna finish discussion, right? Since I'm the one that drafted the resolution, do I get to have the last word? Okay.
It's late. Maybe it'll be a highlight, but we're gonna go. Okay?
All those in favor?
Next resolution?
All those in favor of the resolution that was passed unanimously by Economic Development Committee? Are you doing a roll call?
And while he's away, while he's chat, anything else?
Bender? In favor, okay. Buford? Cahoon? Chirapoli? Della? Fanuzi? Fazio? Brew? Brew? Gibbs? Gomez? Green? Houseman? Hilliard? Robert Picasso? Who's done? Kale? Clevenger? Kaplan? Lamb? Rita? Murder? Murder? Regis? Rowan? Singh? Sponsor?
Did you skip me again?
No, I called you Murder?
Did somebody skip Merdla?
Roll call?
Opposed?
Would somebody mind counting my vote?
Yes, what is it?
Opposed.
Okay, very good.
Margaret Dara?
Opposed.
Oh,
And 12 in favor. So now in the 2 minutes, we're putting a motion to amend the.
Use the mic.
Julie, can you use the mic? We can't hear you.
I'm putting it, we have exactly 2 minutes, we're like way overdue. A quick amendment to add a manufacturing resolution from Economic Development Committee. Who is in favor of adding this to the agenda?
Can somebody tell me what happened with the other resolution?
Anyone opposed? We're finishing up economics development. There's no opposed. Okay, just read this very briefly, Nick. What is the manufacturing resolution?
Now therefore be it resolved, Bronx Community Board 8 endorses New York City Department of City Planning's proposed zoning text amendment with the following conditions. Any zoning changes that create an M zone of any kind are prohibited unless the local community board for the district where the zone would exist approves such changes. Be it further resolved, the Bronx Community Board 8 supports the creation of new manufacturing district options, including M3A4 districts, M2A transition districts, and M1A growth districts, offering a range of floor ratios and addressing longstanding bulk and physical changes, providing that the local community board approves such modification.
Does anyone not understand that? I see my work sentence. No, we're doing this right now. We just put it on the floor. Just in one
This
sentence.
is my resolution. I drafted. Chuck said he was gonna do it. I never heard from him. So I took matters into my own hands. There it is.
Nick, it's on.
Can I speak to the
Yeah.
resolution briefly? As I understand it, just from listening now, this is another resolution that supports things like increased light manufacturing and the like. All of these are very good goals, but it approves the city of Yes zoning amendments and says, but we only approve them if the community board gets to say yes or no. But that's not what the city of Yes is. The whole point of the city of Yes is not to have to ask local communities what they feel about things. So I think if you can't support this resolution because it has provisos and conditions, that's not what city planning is gonna do. They're gonna change the text the way they told everyone they would.
Okay, so anyone else?
Julie,
Yes.
that resolution
Hold on,
would
Chuck. Hold on, Chuck.
Julie, that resolution
Well, I
was
normally
found
vote the
by the
agreement, but
Corporation
they're
Council
asking for
not
amendments
to be
the text.
valid.
Chuck, I'm speaking, please, sir. They are asking for amendments to the text, so we are proposing said amendments in the hopes that they make it in. If we do nothing, I think they're gonna take our silence as agreement and they're gonna move forward with this anyway. So at least this way we're saying we're not opposed to this, but we have concerns.
Julie, the Corporation Council would find that resolution invalid. You cannot authorize the community board to have a veto power. You can only, they are only a consultative body. So while it means well, it will not get you anywhere. And so the result is they'll vote as they want. That's what I keep trying to tell you guys.
So then you will be voting against it. So we're gonna take a vote now.
Go ahead.
Okay, anyone in? Yes. Go ahead. Speak to it? No, let's vote. We have to vote. We have to vote. We're gonna vote. Is everyone in favor of the manufacturing resolution? I'm in favor. Just say your name, Julie Reyes. Nick, say your name. Come on, Artie's new. Chris? No. The new environmental sanitation.
Julia Gomez.
Those opposed? Steve. It's Kelly.
I'm abstaining.
Chuck, you're in disagreement with this, right?
I am abstaining. It's a non-resolution.
I'm abstaining.
Okay, and Rabbi Kaplan is abstaining. Okay.
Wolf Puff voting no.
Close. Okay, and abstentions, and Bob, you were gonna say something?
I was just asking for the vote.
Margaret, we're closing up. You were waiting for a very, very long time.
Yes, thank you. My point of order is that I've consistently spoke with the office staff, with the previous leadership, with just repeating it over and over. I am concerned that this board is using these meetings in which you have a public platform to speak and to influence how people are voting for public officials. I would like the Law, Rules, and Ethics Committee to look into this. I don't believe it's been addressed with specific members, whether you're threatening to primary people on a vote, if you're threatening to galvanize the electorate, if you're threatening to do any sort of thing. I don't believe that it is an appropriate use of this platform, and I've heard it over and over. People in the gallery session are referencing which party to vote for, all in favor of influencing how our elected officials are voting, or to influence the community in their vote. This is not the appropriate platform for this. This is a conversation about various public initiatives that come before the council, that come before the mayor, that come before the community board as an advisory body. I do believe this is a consistent and considerate concern, and I would like for it to be addressed, and I'm putting it on the record for it to be addressed.
Second.
See, we'll take it back to the committee, the Laws and Ethics. Oh, Marty's right here. I forget, Marty's here.
Just
Okay,
wanted to note,
Chuck, the last therefore for your resolution, and then we can do our last vote.
just want to note in response to Margaret's comment, next month we have a speaker coming to our board from the Conflict of Interest Board. This is certainly an issue that he'll be able to address in greater detail. And I agree with what Margaret said, but I think we all should hear it directly from COIB.
Can I get the results of the vote on Nick's resolution?
Nick's resolution did not pass. So the only option.
Julie, you know, I asked for a reason, which is you have a land use resolution too.
That resolution must have been sent in this evening. Does anyone have a copy of the resolution?
Yes, we have it.
Okay,
We have no resolution to vote on.
he's gonna put it up on a screen. First, we have the amended agenda because they sent it to the office this evening.
Madam Chair, this did not go to committee. I did not know if you're forced to stay.
No, we have to vote to amend.
No, we're gonna vote right now, if we're gonna amend the agenda to add the land use resolution for the city of Yes. Anyone gonna make that motion?
So moved.
Anyone second? Okay, those in favor of amending the resolution to add the land use resolution that came in this evening? It's two. Those opposed? Okay, so the rest of, I think Bob Fanuzzi, you wanted to say something?
Motion to adjourn.
No, you know, if you voted down the city of Yes, for the first resolution, Chuck has something else to send to city planning that we should listen to, accept or reject. Except it's.
We just took a vote to amend the agenda. It was voted down. We're not gonna amend the agenda. So after we voted for that, Bob Fanuzzi made a motion to adjourn. Julia second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Where's Margaret and Martin and Chuck? No, we need to see how they voted.
How can we help?
The tables. Okay, hold on 1 second. The rest of the meeting, the rest of the committee minutes, please take a look at everyone's reports. Thank you very much for attending.